First, I'd like to thank you all and also all the animal shelter volunteers, all of them, for taking the time out of your busy schedules to help our animals. No matter what side of the fence you may stand, you all should be commended for your efforts intended to improve our animals' welfare. With that said, the leadership of the shelter is nothing short of a disgrace. In addition to abandoning life-saving programs and failing to hire certified animal behaviorists, the current regime euthanizes dogs and cats at alarming rates without just cause. Do not take my word for it or the prior speaker's word for it. Simply read the statistics, which can be easily obtained through a FOIL request. For those of you that believe that euthanization is a necessary evil to create room for quote-unquote adoptable animals, think again. The offices of the shelter's director and other employees could easily be reduced in size to create more room for the shelter's animal residents. Rather than maximize all available space to save as many animals as possible, the director and staff, many of whom pose as animal advocates, enjoy their large, cushy offices. In an effort to save as many animals as possible, the prior regime kept some animals in the garages of their personal homes and begged Last Hope Animal Shelter, which is next door to the town shelter, to temporarily hold the animals just while the shelter was full, meaning the shelter's volunteers would go over there and take care of the animals that belonged to the shelter, and Last Hope would hold them for free. Rather than murder the animals, the prior regime would make every effort to save each and every animal's life. Before killing the current animals, the current regime does not even bother to reach out to all available rescue groups who may be willing to foster or adopt these innocent souls. Incredibly, the shelter only contacts a personal list of quote-unquote approved rescue groups before condemning innocent animals to death. I know you all, this board has been listening to a bunch of, say, rhetoric from either side, so let me give you some personal examples from my own background. Two examples of the countless tragedies at this shelter are Dustin and Donnie. Dustin was a Rottweiler who showed the town veterinarian, some aggression during his initial evaluation. Although Dustin did not bite anyone at the shelter and was not evaluated by certified animal behaviorists, rather than a fill-in behaviorist who doesn't have a certified license, he was condemned to be murdered because he showed some signs of aggression. Before his death sentence was carried out, I personally contacted Rottweiler rescue groups to spare his life. One of the groups, Mount Roddy, was willing to help, but upon contacting the shelter, this rescue group was willing to save his life, was told that this dog was killed within 1 to 2 days after his evaluation. This abandoned dog, who came from God knows where, showed little aggression on the first time meeting strangers and was killed without any effort to contact any rescue groups who were interested in saving his life. Think about that. Again, no bites. Another example is Donnie, an abandoned pit bull whose ears were partially cut off by his prior human. Like Dustin, he was scheduled to be executed for showing aggression without a bite. This boy was abandoned and mutilated by humans, yet he was treated like a monster for showing a slight aggression at the shelter, again, during initial evaluation, not by an animal behaviorist. Something is seriously wrong with this picture. My wife and I personally visited the shelter to try and adopt Donnie. By that time, the shelter was aware that I was personally an outspoken critic. Rather than worry about helping the animals, my wife and I were pushed aside and punished by being made to wait no less than 1 hour to see Donnie. Of course, I understand that sometimes the shelter could be busy, and that's understandable, that's great, but no less than 3 families who came after us were seen first as punishment that we spoke out against the shelter. Rather than worry about the welfare of a dog like Donnie, they choose politics to punish loving people like my wife and myself. Further, we had to endure nastiness and, for lack of a better word, stink eye while we met Donnie. From what I understand, it's clear that some shelter volunteers who dedicate their lives to helping these animals are treated much worse than my wife and I were treated the day we met Donnie. While bullying a volunteer who dedicates his or her own valuable time to helping animals is bad enough, concealing information from them which could potentially be used to save animals' lives is outrageous. Most of these volunteers post information, as you heard before, on social media in an effort to find homes for these animals before they were euthanized. Rather than support these efforts, some of these volunteers are kept out of the loop and not informed when individual animals are on the quote-unquote kill list. So rather than being able to prioritize the animals who are in death row, these volunteers are ostracized and not made aware of what is really going on there. Once again, rather than worry about the welfare of the animals, the current regime is more concerned with politics. Excuse me. The staff director and staff rather facilitate the unnecessary murder of an animal than risk a potentially negative response to placing an animal on death row. Such heartless, self-serving behavior will not be tolerated by the public and should not be tolerated by this board. While we appreciate the investigation conducted and actions taken by this board to improve the shelter, the failure to take further action by all of us will result in a continued bloodbath of more innocent souls. Last but not least, I'm an attorney with a reputable firm in Garden City, so I am morally and ethically obligated to only state the facts. Thank you.